I tried turning $0 into $1,000 using a strategy everyone online keeps hyping. No money, no shortcuts, just pure execution. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, until reality hits. In the next 30 seconds, I'm breaking down exactly what I did, what actually worked, what completely failed, and the one thing nobody tells you about these $0 to $1,000 challenges. If you've ever wondered whether this is legit or just another internet myth, this might surprise you. Today we will talk about I tried this $0, $1,000 strategy. Here's what actually happened. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. The idea behind starting from zero. The idea of turning $0 into $1,000 is one of those concepts that instantly grabs attention because it challenges a deeply rooted belief that you need money to make money. Everywhere online, you see people claiming they started from nothing and built something meaningful, but very few actually break down the reality behind those claims. So instead of just consuming that content, I decided to put it to the test myself. This wasn't about theory, motivation, or hype. It was about execution. I set a strict rule. I would not spend a single dollar to make this work. No paid ads, no premium tools, no outsourcing, just free resources, my time, and whatever skills I could apply. What started as a simple experiment quickly became a deep dive into how value, consistency, and decision-making actually work in the real world. One thing became clear early on. Starting from zero isn't just a financial situation, it's a mental challenge. You're forced to rely entirely on your ability to think, adapt, and act without comfort or backup. 2. Choosing the right strategy from scratch. With no capital, the options narrow down quickly. You can't invest, you can't flip products easily, and you can't rely on automation tools that require subscriptions. That's when I realized that the only real path forward was leveraging skills. I explored different approaches like affiliate marketing, content creation, reselling, and freelancing. Each had its pros and cons, but most required either time to build an audience or some initial investment. Freelancing stood out as the most practical option because it allowed immediate monetization. The idea was simple. Find a skill that people are already paying for and offer it using free platforms. I focused on services like writing, basic design, and simple digital tasks that businesses often outsource. The challenge, however, wasn't just offering a service. It was convincing someone to trust you without a portfolio, reputation, or track record. That's where positioning became critical. Instead of trying to be everything for everyone, I narrowed my focus and aimed to solve very specific problems for a defined audience. 3. The harsh reality of getting started. The first few days were honestly frustrating. You send messages, create profiles, pitch ideas, and nothing happens. No replies, no interest, just silence. This is the stage where most people quit because it feels like you're putting in effort without any return. It tests your patience and confidence. I quickly realized that effort alone isn't enough. Direction matters just as much. I started analyzing what I was doing wrong. My offers were too generic, my communication wasn't clear enough, and I wasn't showing enough value up front. So I adjusted. Instead of saying, I can help you, I started showing exactly how I could help. I personalized every message, researched potential clients, and focused on solving their specific problems. This shift didn't bring instant results, but it started to change the responses I was getting. It taught me an important lesson. When you start from zero, feedback, even rejection, is valuable data. It tells you what's not working and where you need to improve. 4. The first breakthrough moment. The moment I earned my first dollar was small in terms of money, but massive in terms of impact. It proved that the system works, that someone, somewhere, is willing to pay for value, even if you're starting from nothing. That first task wasn't glamorous. It was simple, underpaid, and required effort, but it opened the door. More importantly, it gave me confidence. Confidence changes how you operate. You communicate better, you take more action, and you start to see opportunities instead of obstacles. After that first earning, I focused on repeating the process. What did I do right? What can I improve? I refined my approach and started building a basic workflow. This is where things slowly began to shift. It wasn't exponential growth, but it was consistent. And consistency is what ultimately drives results in a challenge like this. 5. Building momentum and scaling up. Once I had a few small wins, I stopped treating each task as a one-time opportunity and started thinking long-term. I looked for ways to turn one client into multiple projects, one project into referrals, and one skill into a system. This is where momentum starts to build. Instead of constantly chasing new opportunities, opportunities begin to come to you. I improved my efficiency by using free tools more effectively and organizing my workflow. I also started increasing my rates gradually. This part is crucial. If you don't raise your value over time, you end up stuck doing low-paying work. Scaling wasn't just about earning more. It was about working smarter. I began focusing on higher-value tasks and letting go of work that consumed time without contributing much to my goal. 6. What worked versus what failed completely. One of the most eye-opening parts of this journey was realizing how many popular strategies simply don't work in practice, at least not in a $0 scenario. For example, trying to build a social media following from scratch without any budget or consistency is incredibly slow. Similarly, jumping between multiple methods without focus leads to burnout and confusion. What actually worked was much simpler: direct outreach, clear communication, and solving real problems. Offering value up front made a huge difference. Instead of asking for work, I demonstrated what I could do. Another thing that worked was consistency, showing up every single day, even when results were slow. On the other hand, overthinking was one of the biggest obstacles, spending too much time planning instead of doing delayed progress. I also learned that not every opportunity is worth pursuing. Saying no to low-value tasks helped me focus on what actually mattered. 7. The mental game no one talks about. What surprised me the most wasn't the difficulty of making money. It was the mental challenge that came with it. Starting from zero forces you to confront uncertainty, rejection, and self-doubt on a daily basis. There are days when nothing works, when progress feels invisible, and when quitting seems like the easiest option. This is where mindset becomes everything. You have to learn how to stay consistent without immediate rewards. You have to trust the process even when results are slow. This challenge teaches resilience in a way that no theory ever could. It also reveals your habits, how you manage time, how you respond to failure, and how disciplined you really are. 8. Final outcome and lessons that matter. Reaching $1,000 from zero is not a myth. It's absolutely achievable. But it's not easy, and it's definitely not instant. It requires effort, patience, and a willingness to adapt. The biggest takeaway from this experience is that money is a byproduct of value. If you can consistently provide value, money will follow. Another important lesson is that starting small is not a disadvantage. It's an opportunity to learn without risk. When you have nothing to lose, you're free to experiment, fail, and improve. If someone is thinking about trying this challenge, the advice is simple. Pick one strategy, stay consistent, focus on value, and don't expect overnight success. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.